Real Estate War Stories is brought to you by PlutusLeads.com. If you are a real estate agent and you are in the market for red hot leads, head to PlutusLeads.com. Sign up is free. There is no ongoing cost. Only pre-vetted, pre-screened, high-quality, motivated seller leads straight to your inbox. If you like the notes and you want to roll the dice on it, click to purchase. If they don't answer the phone, reach out to support and they'll refund your purchase price. PlutusLeads.com.
All right, Matt. Last time we talked, you promised me that you had a good sex dungeon story.
Should we go sex dungeon? Okay, we'll go sex dungeons.
Oh, we're going straight there.
We're going straight to sex dungeons. Okay. I've got a few. So the first one, this is actually the very first house I went and looked at. I looked at it for a friend of mine who was a real estate investor, and I was going to do the acquisitions thing. It was an investor had bought it. It was in a bad part of a crappy town, and he'd basically just gotten in over his head and learned it pretty quick. So he was just trying to offload it. So I walked in, main room's gutted, it's down to the studs, but he hasn't started on the rest of the house. So I do, normal walkthrough. It's your standard crappy house. This was another one where they had used the bathtub as a toilet, so it wasn't full, but it was in there. There were lots of kids' toys laying around, like a lot of kids' toys. And then go out back, because I always take pictures from the four corners of the lot to show the overall, all of that.
Yeah.
And I go to the back and I looked over and just see some retaining walls and stairs going underground. I was like, what's that? And his face just went blank and he said, just don't. And I was like, well,
Who is he?
the seller, the investor that was selling the house.
Okay, so it was a wholesaler?
No, it was a flipper. He bought it to flip it, and then when he got in it, he realized he had screwed up.
That's correct. Yeah,
so
go
he
ahead.
was just trying to offload it.
Gotcha.
So I'm curious. So I was like, well, I got to go check it out. And he doubled down. I was like, don't do it. So I went over, opened the door, and it's like an underground root cellar, tornado shelter, concrete block walls, probably 10 by 10. And in the middle of it, there's just a dirty, dirty mattress laying on the floor, covered in stains. There were shackles that had been driven into the concrete slab on all four corners. There was another set of shackles in the wall. And there was a tripod at the foot of the bed, facing the bed. And an assortment of oversized sex toys laying around everywhere. Rubber fists, giant dildos, all kinds of stuff. And
Supersized ones.
yeah. And I came out and I was like, yeah, man, I get it. And I think I said, I was like, I don't think consensual things happened in that room. And he was like, that's gross. I was like, so did you call the cops? And he was like, what are they gonna do? I'm like, fair. But yeah, that was my very first appointment.
Oh, that was your first appointment?
It was the very first house I ever went and looked at.
How long ago was that?
10 years,
Dang.
something like that. That house now is probably worth $400,000. So, yeah. Actually, I gotta look that one up. I remember where it was.
Look up what's happened to it.
Yeah, I want to see what, because I know that town blew up. That town was garbage then.
Which town was it?
Columbia, Tennessee.
Oh, Columbia, yeah.
Yeah, it was hot trash, and now it's like the same as everything else in Middle Tennessee.
Now it's mediocre trash.
No, it was bad. Let's see here, but yeah, that one was pretty good. That one wasn't really a sex dungeon. That was just like a sexual deviant lived there. I mean, that's not really a dungeon, but there have been a lot of houses where I know they had sex addictions. They were into all the things.
I got a good one.
Yeah.
Just reminded me of it. I completely forgot about this. So it was back in construction days doing insurance claims.
Mm-hmm.
This is right off of Lovell Road, so good area, West Knoxville. It was a duplex. The reason I was there is because a washer had basically busted upstairs and did some damage downstairs.
Like a washing machine.
Yes.
Okay.
I probably have some pictures of it even somewhere. I'd have to dig pretty deep. However, so it was a duplex, and the basement was full length. So I'm going upstairs first, taking a look at it. Well, that kind of damage is pretty minimal upstairs. So when something floods, right, damage is done below. So we go down there because I was like, okay, well, check out the damage, what's going on down here. And as soon as I walk down, there is just 6 mil black plastic all on the ceiling, everywhere. It's the full length. They don't have any divider in there on the duplex perspective. Tall ceilings, like it could have been finished out. However, it was pretty much half finished out. It was half finished out living, and then half finished out with restraint systems, the big X's, the where they tie people up, the certain chairs, things I'm not really an expert in. However, like,
you know what it is.
I know what it
You're
is.
You're like, that's a sex thing.
So within us being there for about 15 seconds, she's kind of like embarrassed, and it's only 15 seconds in, and she pretty much goes, yeah, this has been my lifestyle for the last 3 years. So the neighbor also had access down there, so that was confusing to me. I didn't ask that question. So I was probably like in my early 20s when this happened. So I was like green. I didn't know anything. But I remember, this is the only thing that I did know, is there was a stack of red Solo cups. And all I could think was, I was like, oh, they have parties down here. Like, this is not just for them. And it took me years to probably make that like connection, because I thought it was just like him and her like having fun.
Yeah.
I didn't know much, if anything, about swingers or parties or anything like that. I was just like, oh, just they're having fun. But then when I saw this stack of red Solo cups, I was like, oh, these are people that party down here.
So the woman, did she own it?
I want to say so.
So she lived on one side of the duplex.
Rented the other side.
Rented the other side. So do you think every time she got a new tenant, like that's part of what she did when she onboarded a tenant? It was like, how do you feel about BDSM? Can I just beat the shit out of you for sexual gratification in the basement? Like, do you think she chose her tenants based off of that since they had access to it?
I would almost say that there would have to be some preface of conversation to start that. I'm so far out of that loop that I wouldn't even know how those conversations get started. I would imagine they probably start with like, hey, this is my lifestyle. Almost like how she did with me. I would imagine that is probably just the first opening. And then it's like, it's either an open conversation from there, or it's probably just immediately shut down. Because all I could say to that was probably like, oh, like, here's some damage. What else was I supposed to say?
So she has to. Like, if she lives on one side, and this is for her, and she hosts parties, and then she's renting out the other side, maybe she just
parties.
goes on, like, kink websites and says, anybody looking for a place to live? And then maybe she gets her tenants from there, so that way she knows they're cool with it. Because, like, can you imagine doing a walkthrough with a tenant and being like, yep, here's the bathroom, here's the bedroom, laundry's here, here's this. Also, here's our wall of flogs and, ball gags.
What's a flog?
That what you call the thing that you just beat people with?
I'm not familiar with the
Okay.
flog.
I'm pretty sure that's what that's called, isn't it? Damn it, now I gotta look another thing up.
All right, we
Yeah, it's
pause.
called a flogger.
We have to know what a flog is.
It's called a flogger.
A flogger or a flog?
It's called a flogger. Yes.
Okay, we're going to look up a flogger.
A flogger has multiple meanings, including a person who beats someone with a whip or stick. a whip used for sexual gratification.
This is a flogger.
That's a flogger. Also known as a cat of nine tails. That's what mine said. So that's where we went.
Sounds like you're an expert.
I am an expert, thanks to Google. She's pretty good. We could also ask ChatGPT and see what she says.
You got any? So pretty much that was the extent of the story. I mean, after that, we just did our job.
Did it damage her sex toys? Did the water get on her sex chairs?
No, there was actually, so in the basement itself, there was really no damage, because again, it was not even a cozy space.
It was an unfinished basement.
Yes, I mean it was kind of like everything was well. You're really testing my memory here, but everything was pretty much well kept. Like I didn't look at anything and was like, oh, this is gross. Like everything like appeared to like fresh leathers, right? Like fresh plastic. Like nothing stood out as like
gross.
Oh, this is gross.
High end stuff.
I would say that it was like decent stuff. The other thing is that she was blatantly like unattractive.
It's hot.
Yeah, it was like she was a redneck.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of, I remember just like seeing a lot of black plastic. But that was the thing, is it was just black plastic through the rafters. So like I almost think that I probably pushed her to go to the basement, like unbeknownst to myself, like where I'm like, okay, let's check out the basement. She was kind of like, okay, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
been like, no, there's no water damage down there. We don't need to go down there. She was trying to recruit you. That's what it was.
I would imagine
she wanted you to tie her up.
I would imagine that this redneck older woman than me at the time. Everybody was older than me. I was 22 years old. I would imagine that was probably the case.
That was she broke the washing machine specifically to try to get a construction guy to tie her up and just beat the hell out of her in her basement. That's what happened.
True.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Hey, I was going to say, but I did. I was going to say, well, that's why I didn't get the job. It's like a revolving door.
That's pretty good. Now, when I was a kid, my grandpa did a lot of houses and all kinds of things. And there was one in particular that we went into it, and it was a big, like, old antebellum, legitimate plantation, few hundred acres, big house on the road, slave cabins 30 yards back, barns, all the stuff. And we started going through it on the front end and found a secret door in the master bedroom upstairs that went down through the wall, connected to the kitchen, so you could go to the kitchen that way, but it also went underground and was supported by like 18-inch old growth timbers every 4 feet. And it was a tunnel that went straight to one of the slave cabins. That's some old school stuff. That's gross.
Yeah.
That was like before it was a thing. Like he built that house with the intention to rape slaves. You can't do that after the fact.
Right.
Like the way that house was framed out, the way it was 200 years old. It's not like later he was like, let's push this wall out and make a secret staircase. When he built that house, he put that staircase in there specifically to go straight to the slave cabin.
Shoo.
It was a good one. And that house just is worth like $6 million now. And those people have no idea that staircase is there. We just boarded it up and got rid of it.
You think anybody ever found the staircase?
We just... I don't know. Because that was like, what was that, 20 years ago? More?
Let's call them and ask them if
Let's
they found
call
this.
them and ask them.
Let's call them and ask them if they found the staircase.
They tore down the slave cabins. Because that's just... We just can't acknowledge that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I mean...
We can ask the realtor.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that was the same farm where there was... Because back a long time ago, they would have houses for the help. And this was like a big, huge working farm. So there was a house built way back, and it was for the, whatever you want to call him, farm manager guy and his family. I think it was the 70s. But the guy that did that job then brutally murdered his wife and his daughter with a hatchet in that house, and then killed himself with the hatchet. just straight to the dome as many times as he could, and then just bled out in this little 2-room cabin.
So where was the cabin at?
Way back.
Way back.
Like the back side of the farm.
So the same property?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, are we getting into another story?
No, it was the same one. It was the same farm. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live there, Matt.
That house was torn down.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
just mean in general. I think like there's a lot of bad juju on that land.
But what you also have to, like, when you're in the South and you're like, this place has been here since 1820, it's got bad juju in it. Like, if it has been in Tennessee since the early 1800s, bad things happened there. That's just part of it. Yeah. That one, I didn't realize they had torn down the slave cabins, but makes sense. Nobody really wants to acknowledge that that happened in their house.
No, I think that's totally fair. I mean, I feel like my house doesn't have bad juju. I feel like your house doesn't have bad juju. It has a bomb shelter, but I don't think bad juju.
You never know.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
That lady did die in that house.
In yours? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
like peacefully? Or
No, she fell down the basement stairs and died.
tell me more.
That's about all I know, man.
That's all you know?
Yeah, so the guy that lived in that house, I have no idea what he did, but he was very successful because he was spending money on charitable things like tens of thousands of dollars a month. But that
Wow.
house was trashed and it was disgusting. And the story that I was told is he had a mistress who lived with him for years, and she fell down those basement stairs and died. And after that, he just fell apart. And that's when he just turned into a hoarder. And I think we did like 10 or 12, 30-yard dumpsters out of that house before we got started work. Like, just getting the trash out.
Can we do a field trip to your bomb shelter soon?
Yeah, if we wait, it might be better to wait till it's warmer.
It's probably super cold.
It's not so far underground. It's not cave rules where it's like, it's always a comfortable 58 degrees. Like, no, it's freaking cold in that thing.
Okay. Well, we're going to do a field
Yeah.
trip when it warms up.
Because what is it, like 12 degrees right now?
Yeah, I think it was 8 this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But no.
Do you ever hear the story about my house? How I came about it?
Yeah, but I don't remember. You talk a lot.
It's a pretty good story.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a guy known as I'll just say it, the Farragut Strangler.
Mm-hmm.
You can Google the Farragut Strangler. Let's go ahead. While I talk, you
Yeah,
Google
I'm Googling
him.
while you talk. Go ahead.
Okay. So I can say this because the Farragut Strangler is now dead. He was a real person. And I'm going to get to why they called him the Farragut Strangler. So the house was inherited to the wife. And from her father. So obviously she got married. This was their family home. She was a nurse for 30 years, and she ended up wanting to manage a dive. What is it? A dive bar band, dive bar heavy metal band, basically.
Okay.
So she went to California to manage this band. So she ended up moving them into the house. So the band room was the room all the way upstairs, and it was all padded off, much like this. And that's where the band practiced.
Mm-hmm.
So the band practiced upstairs. Well, she ended up having an affair with the lead singer of the band, the wife.
Mm-hmm.
So while all that was going on, the husband pretty much found out. He comes up behind the lead singer that's sleeping with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he used, but pretty much he goes up behind him and starts strangling him. He
So
ended
like
up
throws a rope around his neck
Yep.
and just pulls.
just
Okay.
pulls. He ends up living, but the Farragut Strangler goes to jail. Okay, so I'm going to find this. I'm on my phone because this is important. Okay, right here. I'm going to go ahead and read it.
Good.
This is Paul I'm not going to say his full name because I'm sure he's still around. So this guy basically went to make a post, and it's fake, but it bashes this guy. So it says, okay, this is the Farragut Strangler. His rich, powerful family has done a very good job hiding his image online. He has 63 years old. This picture was taken, so the guy's not very well spoken.
He does good English.
This picture was taken the night he was arrested for trying to strangle me to death. Ever wondering what the face of evil looks like? Looking those eyes, he is a rapist and a murderer and a psychopath. And he's still on the loose. Please be safe and careful. Please share this picture. I am so scared for people. I don't want to see anyone else get raped or killed by this animal. There's a serial killer on the loose. Please share and spread this mugshot. His corrupt, powerful family couldn't hide his mugshot as much as they tried. Matt, this man was a manager at Applebee's. He was a nice guy. His wife was cheating on him, and I think he turned to alcohol pretty aggressively. He ended up dying. I would imagine it was alcohol related. But the guy went on a smear campaign and said that he was a rapist and a murderer. It's like, no, he tried to kill you, brother. He wasn't all those things.
So
He was a super nice guy.
So what is the connection? Where?
That was the lead singer that I just read, the lead singer of the
Yeah.
band that moved into the house.
What house?
This one. The
This
one we're
house.
in.
The one we're in right
The
now.
one we're in right now.
Okay.
He tried to strangle, the husband tried to strangle the lead singer of the band that lived here because he was cheating. I'm sorry, the wife was cheating
Did he try
on
to kill
the
wife?
husband. No, I don't think so. I met both of them. So he was super nice. She was clearly the crazy one. He was a super nice dude. Rest his soul.
Rest his soul.
But yeah, that's just talking about like crazy stories of houses. I mean,
No, that's a good one.
it was pretty good. So just to like sum it up, because I know that like it's a lot of moving parts. So she moved in a band into the house. She started sleeping with the lead singer of the band. The husband tried to kill the lead singer of the band, and then he got arrested for it. And then the lead singer of the band went on a smear campaign on Facebook and said, "There's a rapist and a murderer on the loose." Like, dude, you already like were sleeping with his wife. Like, just let the dude like move on with his life.
No.
And he was, like I said, this man was not a rapist. He was not a murderer. I will not speak ill of the dead. He was actually a genuinely like chill dude. Like, he was a bro that like me and you could have sat down with at Applebee's after his shift and be like, "Hey man, you want to have a beer?" And he would have been like, "Yeah, I'll have 15."
When you found out somebody's sleeping with your wife and you're drinking, it's easy to see somebody going down that road.
Yeah, that's the end of the story.
It's pretty good. Well, where are we?
I think we're good. We're at a comfortable time. I mean, we can. What do we think we got for our next week? Okay. Well, man, that sounds good. I'm gonna go ahead and log off.